I'm a little wounded. I threw my back out on Memorial Day, thinking that I was still 25, so I'm moving slowly. And I would like to adopt and incorporate all of Norman's thanks here into my comments. But I will, just because it seems to be a popular thing to do, and it should be, just notice Jenny, Margie, and Vicki, and also Angela, wherever she is. Let's just give them a round of applause. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal work. It's been a privilege, really, for me to have been a part of the task force that produced this report. It was a privilege to travel around the country, meeting with people and talking to stakeholders of all stripes, and just looking out at the audience and seeing familiar faces and folks that we met along the way harkens sort of all of that back to me. We met members of the affected community, we met elected officials, members of law enforcement, judges and prosecutors and chiefs of police. And we had the opportunity to engage these individuals in thoughtful discussions that relate to what is a national movement, as I think Norm said so correctly. A national movement towards forgiveness, a national movement towards redemption, a national movement towards the restoration of rights and status after conviction. For many of us on this task force, this was really a labor of love. There are 65 million people in this country living with a rap sheet. That is 1 out of every 3 adults. And we all know someone who has been impacted by the tragedy of collateral consequences. An inability to get a job, any job, despite your qualifications, or to secure decent housing, a place to live for your family, to avoid deportation, the vote, the inability to exercise your franchise. But to see the work that we saw as we went across the country that's happening on the ground in truly inspirational places like the Fortune Society in New York, or North Star Neighborhood Reentry in Cleveland, St. Leonard's Ministry in Chicago, or the Delancey Street Foundation in San Francisco. Those places provide the hope and the determination that the time has come in this country. The time has come to move from the endless gloom of collateral consequences into the bright sunlight of redemption and forgiveness and the restoration of rights and status after conviction. Now we've got the roadmap. So I thank you all for your time, for your commitment, for your continued commitment, and for your support. The journey begins. Thank you. I now have the privilege, I don't know if Congressman Davis is here, he's not, to invite up to speak Governor Ehrlich. And I just want to say that, as Norm said, Governor Ehrlich really led the way as an executive in making pardons and making the restoration of rights possible and accessible, routinizing it as part of his responsibilities as an executive, as a governor, as a leader. And so we were pleased to have his testimony on our journey, and we are pleased to have him here today to say a few words as we get on the way to making this real for people all across the country. Governor Ehrlich.
All right, I fell down my steps last night. My 10-year-old, left a book on the steps. So we're getting older. We're not too bright. I don't know. So I'm in my office one day as governor of Maryland, a Republican governor of Maryland, which is fairly unusual, as all you know. And I'm told this lady named Margie Love. And by the way, all the ladies here, if we were intimidated by strong women, none of us would be here. So the ladies who have been mentioned here are the leaders, and we all know it. But this lady by the name of Margie Love, who I'd never met, is talking about me nationally, positively. And I found it really interesting. And of course, that started a wonderful friendship. And she really is the queen. I call her the queen, and she deserves that title because it all starts with you and has begun with you. So we're here, and this is a testament to a lot of folks in this room, particularly you. So she's given me credit in the national media for doing what I had always assumed governors are supposed to do, which is an interesting moral in life because you're not supposed to get credit. My mom always said you're not supposed to get credit for just doing the things you're supposed to do. But it was an interesting beginning to a friendship and a relationship, and obviously culminating in this incredible report. The NACDL has done a great job. And look, there are there's a lot, not a million, but there's a lot of suggestions here, a lot of recommendations, and we'll have, I'm sure, some different viewpoints on a number, but this is the foundation. And Norman and Rick took all my good stuff, so thanks. You always want to be the first out of the box, but everything they said is true, and this is not just a starting point, this is the foundation. And people talk about bipartisanship in this town, and it becomes sort of a talking point on the cable shows, but this issue is evolving into something that's real and tangible and substantive and truly bipartisan, not just phony bipartisan, truly bipartisan. So pardons, as we all know, they're symbolic and they're substantive. They're symbolic because they symbolize a new start. We all know that. It's a cliche almost. And they're substantive because governors and presidents literally have the ability, unilateral ability, to restart careers, jobs. And interestingly enough, not surprisingly, folks in this room, as governor of Maryland, a lot of folks want to work for the federal government. And a lot of folks are stopped working for the federal government because of in often cases, minor incidents over the years. We need to be smart, balanced, and tough. We need to bring all of the players into this discussion, including victims' rights organizations, prosecutors, defense lawyers, everyone. Everyone has a part to play. And quite frankly, that's what we did in Maryland. All the elements have to be followed. It has to be a regular practice. As I run around the country and Margie tells me where to go, governors and presidents get in trouble because sometimes it's politics and sometimes it's access, but most of the time it's not a regular process. We made this a part of my job description every week, every month. Greg Mazzoni, my former press secretary, is here. He's the one who had to explain my decisions to the press. Thank you, Greg, for hanging in there. But the bottom line is politicians get in trouble when this is an extraordinary act at the end of a term. It needs to be weekly, monthly. It needs to be predictable. It needs to be such that the press is not surprised because governors are doing what they're supposed to do, part of their job description, and presidents as well. And we all talk in glowing terms, and everybody's saying wonderful things today, and it's all true, but the fact of it is, and I'm going to really close with this, there's a lot of fear, and all of us know it. And fear is a denominator, and fear is the reason why so many governors and so many presidents are shying away from doing their job. And when I see this many smart people, when I see this many different organizations, right, left, center, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, whatever line we want to draw in our society, come together on an issue, it's extraordinary first. But that kind of willpower, that kind of movement will make executives think and hopefully overcome fear. Hopefully overcome the real political fear that presently is. By the way, sometimes it's not fear, sometimes it's neglect, sometimes it's ignorance. But this kind of movement obviously brings this sort of issue to the forefront with regard to executive decisions. It needs to be universal. It needs to be not a function of income or wealth or access. It just needs to be, as we say in Congress, regular order. So with regard to pardoning, we can reduce crime, we can restore lives, and we can save money, by the way. We forgot talking about the fiscal conservatives, right? Which is actually part of this as well. It's all good when done correctly, when explained coherently. And that's what we're doing today. So I hope this report will be one significant step, the next significant step in revival of the pardon power in this country. I'm pleased to testify. I was pleased to simply do my job. I'm pleased to get glory here for simply doing my job. But I will close with this. I started a clinic at Catholic University. Many of you are familiar with it, devoted to this issue. And we've had a pretty good start. And that clinic gives students a real clinical experience with regard to applications. But another part of that stool over there is educating newly elected governors. Big elections in this country this November. We're going to have a bunch of newly elected governors. I promise to you that some, hopefully most, at least councils, if not the actual governors-elect, will be over at Catholic thinking about what we're doing here today, which is bottom line justice. Godspeed, everybody.